This month is Black History Month, and joining me as my guest tonight is a woman who has dedicated her career to providing support services to Black women and their families within the community. So Selina Winnery, thank you very much for coming on. I guess let's start off by telling me what Walsall Black Sisters Collective does.
Walsall Black Sisters is a charitable organisation, and our primary aim is to support women and their families within the community of Walsall, but we also extend to the larger communities. So we are not exclusive in terms of gender, age, or where people are living in the borough. The general aim is to support people, help them to feel encouraged, especially through difficult times in life, and to help them to access services that just might improve their quality of life as a whole.
I understand that there are a lot of services that the charitable organisation provides. Can you just go into some detail about the different branches of this?
I think Walsall Black Sisters has been so fortunate to still have its existing services, although originally there were more, but due to funding cuts now we are working on our foundational services, which include daycare. So twice a week on a Wednesday and Thursday the centre is open for people to either drop in and have a coffee, also to receive support for mental health. There are some people in the community who have suffered mental ill health, and they just need somebody to talk to, friends to socialise with, to get their confidence back up to being in the community or going back to work maybe. And we also have a seniors group who meet there, and they enjoy doing arts and crafts. They love bingo, I will tell you that for sure. They love bingo and dominoes, and just generally reminiscing about the good old days. We also do have a child service where we collect children from local schools in Walsall, and we look after them for parents and guardians up until 6 p.m. They can have a light snack and they play, or maybe even get help with their homework, and that service runs Monday to Friday term time. And then we have counselling, free counselling sessions that are available to people who need them through referrals to Black Sisters. And not to mention, we now have a new floating housing support project to go out to meet people where they are and help them at home to sustain their tenancy, or to help them in their home maybe that they own, and just generally making life that little bit easier by having a helping hand and someone to listen to, read through the bills with you. So those are some of the services that we still provide in, thankfully, at Black Sisters, and we're hoping in future to provide more.
So wow, so there really is something for everyone of all ages, you know.
We hope so, yeah.
From one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know, with all of these services, just how important is the organisation for the community within Walsall?
Walsall Black Sisters is a community centre, and we believe that the heart of the community is the people itself. So therefore we always want to have our doors open, ready to receive somebody, whether it's just a drop-in or whether they're going to require regular support from us in whatever capacity that is. So we can't exist without the community anyway, and that's why we really like to focus on what are the personal needs of individuals and families, because that's what makes Walsall.
Just tell me, what are some of the top issues that people come to you with within Walsall?
I think the issues that are brought to us do vary, and can be rather unpredictable, but that's what we love about it. And a lot of the issues that seem to come up are people just generally wanting somebody to support them, to understand the changes that are currently happening within local and national legislation and in government as a whole, and how it affects them personally on a day-to-day basis. So whether that be how their bills and their billing systems now operate, or it may be to do with their benefits. Are my benefits going to be taken away? That worries me. How will I pay my bills? How will I support my family? So a lot of the time it's either advocacy or information, that people are just looking for a little bit more clarity on how they can stay secure within their home and their way of life in general.
I mean, the charity has been going since 1986. That's nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
Is this an indication of how, you know, your services are still relevant to society today?
I think that's why I'm so proud of being a part of this charity, because as times have changed, not only have the company changed with it to cater to the needs of our local residents, but also they've managed to stay one of the very few organisations that are stable, that will constantly be there for you as a family, as an individual, despite whatever financial funding situations it faces itself. And so whilst we do evolve with the changes that are happening in society, we also try very hard to stay around and to be that constant support.
So Selina, one of the big things in the news at the moment is helping Syrian refugees who are fleeing their war-torn country. Is that something on the agenda for the charitable organisation, or is it something, you know, that is being thought about?
Yeah. Walsall Black Sisters will always be considering the current affairs and the needs that come with that. And I think that as we are a black minority ethnic organisation at heart, even though we're not exclusive, we understand that changes happen in people's lives that are sometimes out of their control. And so if they are in need, then who are we to refuse that support and help if we're available to offer it? So at the moment, whilst we don't have a service that's tailored specifically for this current affairs news at the moment, it's not something we would ever look away from, because we would be irresponsible to do that. We have a duty of care to look after everybody that comes through our door.
So Selina, your job title is a BME Floating Housing Support Officer.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
It's a mouthful, isn't it? Basically, it just means being at arm's length, a support network, somebody who can visit you at home or you can visit me at the centre, and if you have a need, I will try to help you meet it. And if I don't know how to do it, which just may happen, then I will definitely signpost you to an agency that can.
I guess what I want to know is, why would members of the community come to your organisation over other housing providers?
I think having worked in the statutory sector of housing before working for Black Sisters, I see a real difference in approach. And for us, there's such an excellent team at Black Sisters that it really provides a more personal, one-to-one approach. And I think that's very important. You know, and there's nothing to discredit, you know, my fellow housing officers or neighbourhood officers who all do amazing work. But walking up to that desk, having that barrier between you, it automatically sets this sort of segregation, you know, of applicant, tenant and the housing system. And so with us, I suppose it's a more friendly family feel that we're right here with you to support you, to help you to understand the housing system better as well.
I mean, there may be some people who are wondering, you know, why there's a specific housing service just for BMEs when the current council housing point system, it's fair to everyone.
And it's a valid question, and I think something that at some point everybody's considered. I think the way that we choose to look at it, or certainly myself, is it isn't a case of causing any kind of favouritism for one culture over another. It's actually more of a prevention service, just to make sure that people who may have very well lived and worked here for 50, 60, even 70 years, just require that support to make sure they don't slip through the net, that they aren't forgotten. And so it's more so about prevention than favouritism.
How difficult is it to help? You know, it's no surprise that there's a shortage of housing stock.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to provide a black family with a new home?
I would say it's just as difficult to provide a black family with a new home as it is to provide a white one, an Asian one, or any other family of a cultural background. I think what is difficult is that sometimes communication breaks down between the system and the community. And so in that, there's a loss of translation of well, what does this mean? You say I'm on a bidding system or a point system, but what does that really mean to me and my family who need something now? And so by raising that awareness of what the local system is and how it works, it better creates more patience as well and helps to reduce the frustration that is evident in our society, we are all craving for better housing and for more housing. So it's also looking at other options. What are the other options of housing? And that in itself can be quite controversial on the ideas of how sharing with the family again until things are okay, or going private. So there's a lot to consider.
And before we leave you, we definitely have to talk about Black History Month because it's this October.
Yes.
I understand that the organisation is running their annual event. Tell me about this.
It's just a great fun event. Black History Month is nationally recognised, and you know, in the schools we are taught about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X. And so this is just our little contribution to recognising people who have contributed to this country's history and the worldwide history. And so we're going to recognise those people locally and nationally.